Sergeant Click Ike of the Rovian Planetary Forces stepped off the transport shuttle, taking his first steps on the human homeworld, Earth. He had heard astonishing accounts of human ferocity from rotational warriors who had served alongside them. Now, General Saint offered Click a rare opportunity to observe human military capabilities firsthand at one of their elite academies. As Click's chitinous torso armor clinked softly, he felt oddly exposed without the typical force fields of frontline gear. The academy had forbidden anything that could appear threatening during his educational tour. His guide was retired Colonel Javari Gaines, a dark-skinned human with a predatory smile that reminded Click of battle-scarred Imperial elites. The colonel first escorted him through what Click considered irrelevant mundanities, dormitories, mess halls, and training yards where cadets chanted marching songs. Click bristled at this waste of time when he had come to see weapons that could level cities. Yet, there was an opportunity to study human exercise equipment, obviously meant to stress durability despite their soft, pale bodies. Perhaps physical toughness helped compensate for their lack of plating. Finally, they entered the Armaments Museum. Every surface was covered in glass cases or tactical displays of military assets, historical and modern. Gleaming metal war engines stood alongside mannequins outfitted through the ages. This, Click could appreciate. Evolution refined by science, directed toward martial supremacy. Gaines smiled, noting his engrossment. I thought the cultural background was essential context first, but let's deliver what you truly crossed light years to see. They passed cabinets of swords and pikes from millennia of close-quarters fighting, and shelves of chemical slug throwers transitioned to portable railguns and sequential energy rifles. Walls were dedicated solely to human projectile technology progression. Click's vocabulator blinked warnings, translating explosive yield metrics in nuclear terminology. He pointed at atomic missile diagrams. These dispersed multiple radiation warheads across continental distances, correct? Though we refined targeting to reduce bystander casualties as much as feasible. Gaines watched Click closely. Rest assured, though, today we reserve those exclusively as counterforce deterrence, rather than tactical battlefield deployment. We have enough other options at hand without going nuclear. This did not comfort Click, given the race's evolution evident all around him. What emerged next from these clever, vicious bipeds? They passed exhibits on computing technology, robotics, autonomous drones, every advancement honed to seek and destroy enemies more efficiently. Particularly unnerving was the smiling lack of concern both Gaines and the displays showed while outlining lethal potential. Click realized even his battle-hardened people were still innocents next to human disregard for bloodshed. They practically cultivated it as an art form. They entered a projection room with seating arranged before a vast cylindrical holo display. Gaines input commands, summoning a parade of missile and artillery systems. Now this should impress you based on your interest earlier. We'll start small, then progress accordingly. Click sat, dumbfounded, as centuries of rocketry development played out. Gaines casually detailed fuel variants, multiple independent re-entry vehicles, and guidance system breakthroughs. Only the oh-so-subtlety of programming prevented Click from fleeing outright back to the shuttle. Swarms of drones blossomed amid ballistic flights, coordinating saturation attacks. Propulsion and navigation concepts, difficult for even Rovian engineers to grasp, became commonplace fixtures of human arsenals. Gaines almost preened, explaining the exponential cost to harden or improve components. This entire race clearly reveled in crafting ever more proficient tools to rain death upon their foes. The parade of overkill culminated with launch footage of the Peacemaker, an orbital kinetic bombardment satellite unleashing a dozen tungsten slugs in demonstration. Gaines solemnly outlined how the network could sanitize entire continents if needed, then showed the actual damages. Smoking impact craters stretched across kilometers as drones surveyed rubble that was once sprawling military bases. Yet, instead of solemn regret, his face held satisfaction at a job well done. Click couldn't translate anything further under the barrage of grisly knowledge. Sensing his overwhelm, Gaines paused the presentation. My apologies for overwhelming you. We humans often forget what newcomers consider basic developments have unsettling impacts. He waved the images into standby mode, then turned fully toward Click. I understand your people also fight threats to your worlds. Surely you can relate to the necessity driving advancement. We pursued deterrence and de-escalation whenever Colonel Javari Gaines ushered Sergeant Click Ike towards the mock urban village, a highly sophisticated training area designed for counterinsurgency exercises. As they approached, the sound of distant gunfire and explosions began to fill the air, a stark contrast to the silent display rooms they had just left. The area was a meticulously crafted replica of a typical urban settlement, complete with buildings, roads, and vehicles, all designed for the purpose of military training. Here, you'll see the blend of strategy and raw skill that our soldiers must master to operate effectively in urban environments, Gaines explained, his voice carrying over the cacophony of simulated combat. They climbed up to a set of bleachers that overlooked the entire village, giving them a panoramic view of the ongoing operation. Below them, multiple fire teams advanced through the ravaged test zone. The teams moved with precision, their actions coordinated down to the second. Click observed as they executed cover leapfrog movements, suppressive barrages, and flanking maneuvers. Despite the intensity, the choreography of their movements had an almost artistic discipline, weaving between storms of lead. This exercise involves live ammunition and pyrotechnics to simulate real battle conditions as closely as possible, Gaines pointed out, his eyes following a squad as it moved towards a heavily fortified position. The fire teams you see are practicing a variety of engagement strategies, adapting to live feedback from their environment. Notice how even simulated casualties are handled, quickly, efficiently, without breaking stride in the mission. Click, still grappling with the displays of human military might from the museum, found the live demonstration unsettling yet compelling. The sounds of gunfire and explosions, so much more immediate and visceral than the historical weapons he had studied, underscored the lethal efficiency of human warfare. It was one thing to see deactivated guns and silent missiles. It was quite another to watch live humans enact the dance of death. As the exercise continued, Gaines explained the principles behind each maneuver. Urban combat is one of the most challenging scenarios for any military force. It requires quick thinking, adaptability, and a deep understanding of both the physical and psychological landscape. Our training programs are designed to push soldiers to the edge of their capabilities, ensuring they're prepared for any situation. Click's attention was caught by a particularly daring maneuver. A squad dashed across an open area under cover of smoke grenades, effectively disappearing from the enemy's view before reappearing at a strategic vantage point. The coordination and risk involved spoke volumes about the training and trust embedded within the troops. As the demonstration concluded, with minimal losses deemed acceptable within the harsh metrics of military efficiency, some of the casualties sported appalling wounds, yet still managed to limp or crawl to extract their comrades. Gaines nodded approvingly. Adaptive resilience is critical on chaotic battlefields. Today's exercise demonstrated just a fraction of what our troops are capable of. With the exercise winding down, Gaines turned to Click with a smile. Let's get you back and fill your belly with the best chili mac on the base. It's a favorite among our troops, hearty and filling, perfect after a long day. As they walked back towards the transport area, Click remained silent, his mind racing with the images and strategies he had witnessed. The humans had not only developed terrifying weapons, but had honed the art of using them in ways that seemed almost beyond comprehension. The psychological impact of this realization was profound. Rovian warriors were fierce, but their methods and technologies paled in comparison to the systematic, almost casual approach humans took towards mastering instruments of war. Chili Mac should help settle your thoughts, Gaines chuckled, breaking the silence. A little comfort food does wonders after a day filled with hard truths. As they reached the dining facility, Click was introspective, his thoughts lingering on the need to report back to Rovian command. The insights gained today would be invaluable. Understanding human military tactics and their underlying philosophy could be the key to more than just diplomatic negotiations. It might be crucial for survival. As they entered the bustling mess hall, Click managed to muster a nod, acknowledging Gaines's attempts to lighten the mood. Yet beneath his calm exterior, The seeds of a new, grudging respect for human military prowess were beginning to sprout. DB-7L. As they settled into the bustling mess hall, the din of chatter and clinking utensils filled the air. Sergeant Click Ike followed Colonel Javari Gaines to a serving line where trays of steaming chili mac were being eagerly consumed by human soldiers. Click observed the camaraderie and easy laughter around him, a stark contrast to the disciplined chaos of the mock urban battle they had just witnessed. Gaines handed Click a tray, loaded with the aromatic, hearty dish. "It's a base favorite. Comfort food, we call it. Helps to keep the morale high," he explained, as they found a table amidst the crowd. Click tentatively tasted the chili mac, finding the flavors unfamiliar yet not unpleasant. As they ate, his mind was not on the food, but on the swirling thoughts about what he had observed today. The efficiency and casual brutality of human warfare were unsettling, yet he couldn't deny a grudging admiration for their strategic acumen. "Your silence speaks volumes, Sergeant. What's on your mind?" Gaines asked, his tone both curious and gentle. Click looked up from his meal, meeting Gaines's gaze. "I am considering the implications of what I've seen today. Your people's ability to innovate in warfare is exceptional. It challenges us to think about our own strategies and defenses," he confessed. Gaines nodded thoughtfully. "It's a common reaction. We push the boundaries of military science not because we desire conflict, but because we must be prepared for it. Our history has taught us hard lessons about the necessity of readiness and deterrence." Click absorbed his words, realizing that the display of might was not merely for intimidation, but rooted deeply in human history, a response to countless conflicts and the drive for survival. This perspective was crucial for understanding the human approach to warfare, and perhaps in broader terms, diplomacy. "The way you integrate technology and tactics is impressive," Click continued, "but it also raises concerns. Your advancements could be seen as threatening by less developed civilizations, or even provocative to peers." "That's a valid concern," Gaines acknowledged. "We tread a fine line between being prepared and being perceived as aggressors. Our goal is to maintain peace through strength, a balance of power that discourages would-be aggressors and reassures our allies." As they spoke, Click's communicator blinked, an incoming message from General Swant requesting a preliminary report. Click excused himself, stepping away from the noise to compose his thoughts. He reported honestly on the advanced military capabilities and strategic doctrines he had witnessed, emphasizing the potential for both conflict and cooperation. Returning to the table, Click felt a mix of apprehension and duty. "I have reported my observations back to my command. There will be much to discuss upon my return." Gaines nodded, understanding the weight of such a report. "It's a lot to take in, especially in one visit. Remember, Sergeant, what you've seen today is just one aspect of humanity. We are not solely defined by our military capabilities." The conversation shifted as Gaines began to share stories of human endeavors in peace, scientific breakthroughs, humanitarian missions, and cultural exchanges that showcased a different facet of humanity. Click listened, intrigued by the complexity of human nature, the capacity for both destruction and profound creativity. As the meal ended, Gaines proposed a tour of the scientific research facilities on the base, offering Click a glimpse into the less martial aspects of human achievement. "You should see the full spectrum of our endeavors. It's important to understand that our strength comes not just from our military might, but from our innovation and cooperation in many fields." Accepting the invitation, Click felt a mix of curiosity and responsibility. He realized that understanding the broader context of human capabilities was essential, not just for reporting back, but for forming a comprehensive view of potential allies or adversaries. As they left the mess hall, Click's thoughts were a mix of wariness and respect. The day had been a revelation in many ways, opening his eyes to the nuanced realities of human society. This visit was proving to be more than just a military observation. It was a profound encounter with a complex civilization, prompting reflections on his own people's place in the galaxy. Colonel Javari Gaines led Sergeant Click Ike away from the bustling mess hall and towards the base's scientific research facilities. The sharp contrast between the martial vigor of the training fields and the serene, thoughtful atmosphere of the research center was striking. Here the air hummed with a different kind of energy, intellectual and innovative, rather than aggressive. As much as we prepare for war, we also invest heavily in peace, Gaines explained as they entered a building marked by its modern, sleek design. Our advancements in technology aren't just about weapons. They're about improving quality of life and understanding the universe. They started their tour in a lab dedicated to environmental science, where researchers worked on projects ranging from climate control to sustainable energy solutions. Click observed a group discussing a model of an artificial biosphere. This project aims to create self-sustaining ecosystems for colonized planets, one scientist explained. It's about bringing life to barren worlds. The notion of terraforming was familiar to Click, but the scale and sophistication of human efforts were impressive. He noted the proactive stance humans took toward ecological challenges, addressing them head-on with advanced science and technology. Next, they visited a medical research facility. Here, the focus was on genetic therapies and disease eradication. A researcher showcased a newly developed vaccine that could adapt to multiple viral strains. "Our goal is health security on a galactic scale," she stated proudly. Click was struck by the parallel between this and the military mindset. A preemptive strike, but against disease rather than enemies. Gaines pointed out that these technologies also had dual uses. Many of our medical innovations find their way into field hospitals in conflict zones. It's about saving lives, whether those are threatened by war or illness. As they walked through a hall displaying innovations in communication technology, Click was shown devices that facilitated real-time translation of hundreds of alien languages. "Understanding each other is the first step towards peace," Gaines remarked, echoing a sentiment Click deeply understood. The Rovians had often struggled with miscommunications in their own interstellar negotiations. The tour concluded at the aerospace engineering section, where the latest designs for space exploration vehicles were being tested. "These ships could one day take us to the farthest reaches of the known universe," a lead engineer explained, showing them a holographic model of a spacecraft designed for deep space travel. "Our mission is to explore, discover, and connect." Throughout the tour, Click felt his understanding of humans expanding. They were not merely warriors, they were explorers and healers, thinkers and creators. This multidimensional view was both comforting and daunting. It revealed a civilization capable of immense destruction and incredible benevolence. On their way back to the guest quarters, Gaines asked, "What do you think, Sergeant? Quite different from the morning's military display, isn't it?" Click nodded, processing the day's experiences. "It's enlightening. Your people harness such powerful forces but also seek to heal and explore. It's a balance of power and responsibility that I hadn't fully appreciated before today." Gaines smiled. "That's exactly what we hope to share with our allies and potential friends. Strength, yes, but also a commitment to making the galaxy a better place for all its inhabitants." As Click settled into his quarters that evening, his thoughts were a tangle of awe and caution. The breadth of human capability was astonishing, and while it could be a tremendous force for good, the potential for harm was equally significant. He drafted additional notes for his report, highlighting the dual nature of human advancements. These insights would be crucial for the Rovian leadership to consider in their future dealings with humanity. Lying back, Click realized that his mission had morphed from a simple military inspection into a profound diplomatic exploration. The challenge now was to convey not just the might of humanity, but its spirit and vision. As he drifted into sleep, Click felt a rare sense of kinship with these complex beings, fellow travelers on the journey of interstellar life, each learning to balance their shadows with their light. The following morning, after a restless night filled with contemplation, Sergeant Click Ike was invited to attend a strategic meeting with key figures from the base's command structure. As he walked alongside Colonel Javari Gaines, the air was crisp and filled with a sense of purpose. Today's discussions would focus on diplomacy and strategic alliances, areas where Click felt his insights might help bridge the understanding between human and Rovian perspectives. Upon entering the conference room, Click was introduced to a diverse group of military strategists and diplomats. The room buzzed with the low murmur of serious discussions, each member preparing to share insights or propose initiatives. Gaines led Click to a seat at the table, where he was greeted with nods of respect. His presence as a Rovian officer among them was a testament to the growing trust between their species. The meeting began with an overview of current galactic tensions and the role human forces played in maintaining regional stability. A senior diplomat outlined recent peacekeeping missions and the challenges they faced in volatile sectors. Our goal is not merely to enforce peace, but to foster it through dialogue and mutual understanding, she explained, setting the tone for a collaborative approach. Click listened intently, analyzing the similarities and differences in their strategies compared to those of the Rovians. When it was his turn to speak, he shared his observations from the previous day's tours, both military and scientific. I'm struck by the dual nature of human endeavors, your capacity for both destruction and creation. It's clear that these are two sides of the same coin, driven by a profound commitment to survival and prosperity. His words prompted nods around the table. A military analyst chimed in. Sergeant Click's perspective is invaluable. It reminds us that how we are perceived impacts our ability to effectively lead or collaborate in interstellar matters. The discussion then shifted to the potential for shared projects between Earth and Rovia, focusing on areas like technology exchange, joint military exercises, and cultural exchanges. A proposal was raised for an interstellar symposium to be hosted on Rovia, involving leaders from both worlds to discuss security, science, and cultural understanding. Click found the idea compelling. An interstellar symposium could serve as a powerful symbol of our commitment to transparency and cooperation. It would also allow us to address any misconceptions and build a foundation based on shared values and objectives. The diplomats took note of his enthusiasm, and plans began to take shape. The meeting continued with discussions on the logistics and potential topics for the symposium, ensuring that it would be a balanced and productive event. As the meeting drew to a close, Gaines leaned over to Click. You've made quite an impression today. It's clear that you're not just here to learn, but also to help us understand your people better. Feeling a sense of accomplishment, Click reflected on the day's events as he and Gaines walked back. I believe today was a step towards something significant, not just for our worlds, but perhaps for the broader galactic community. We have much to offer each other and much to learn. Gaines agreed. Indeed, Sergeant. This is just the beginning of what I hope will be a long and fruitful relationship. Let's ensure this symposium is a success. It could be the key to a new era of cooperation. As they parted ways, Click felt a renewed sense of purpose. The dialogues had not only opened new avenues for collaboration, but it also deepened his understanding of human motivations and aspirations. He was eager to report back to his superiors, armed with insights and proposals that could potentially transform Rovian relations with humanity. Back in his quarters, Click began compiling his thoughts and recommendations into a comprehensive report. The day's dialogues had provided him with a clearer vision of the path forward, a path marked by mutual respect, shared goals, and a commitment to peace. The challenges ahead were formidable, but for the first time, Click felt a genuine optimism about the future, believing that together, humans and Rovians could forge a destiny that transcended their differences. In the days following the strategic meeting, Sergeant Click Ike became deeply involved in the preparations for the Interstellar Symposium. The event was designed not only as a showcase of unity and cooperation between Earth and Rovia, but also as a platform for addressing broader galactic issues. The symposium would bring together scientists, military officials, diplomats, and cultural leaders from both worlds, making it a landmark event in human-Rovian relations. As part of the planning committee, Click worked closely with his human counterparts to shape the agenda and ensure that both Rovian and human perspectives were equally represented. Topics ranged from joint security measures and scientific collaborations to cultural exchanges and economic partnerships. Each session was carefully crafted to promote understanding and to explore potential areas of cooperation. The logistical challenges were significant. The symposium was to be held on Rovia, requiring detailed coordination for the transport of human delegates through interstellar space. Security protocols had to be meticulously planned to accommodate both human and Rovian standards, ensuring the safety of all participants without imposing undue restrictions. Click found himself at the center of these discussions, bridging the gap between Rovian security concerns and human logistical capabilities. His unique position as both a military officer and a liaison made him invaluable in these preparations. He worked tirelessly, often communicating long into the Rovian night with his counterparts on Earth to finalize details. As the symposium neared, promotional materials were distributed across both worlds, highlighting the historic nature of the event and its significance for peace and cooperation in the galaxy. Click reviewed each piece of material personally, ensuring that the messaging was clear and inclusive, reflecting the spirit of partnership that the symposium aimed to embody. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Colonel HFY Gaines was leading the preparation of the human delegation. He regularly updated Click on their progress, discussing the selection of delegates, their expertise, and what they hoped to achieve during the symposium. Gaines was particularly focused on the cultural exchange sessions, believing that understanding each other's history and traditions was key to long-term cooperation. As part of the cultural preparation, Click participated in several virtual exchanges with human scholars, discussing Rovian history, art, and social structures. These sessions were recorded and would be part of an introductory package for human delegates, giving them a foundational understanding of Rovian society before their arrival. One evening, as Click reviewed the final agenda, he received a call from General Saint, the Rovian military leader who had initially sent him to Earth. "Sergeant Ike, your reports have been enlightening, and your efforts with the symposium are commendable," General Saint began. "We see this as a pivotal moment in our relationship with humanity. Your role has been crucial in guiding our approach." Click felt a surge of pride and responsibility. "Thank you, General. I believe we are on the brink of something truly beneficial for both our people and perhaps others in the galaxy. The symposium is just the beginning, but it sets the stage for a future built on mutual respect and shared goals." General Saint agreed, emphasizing the strategic importance of the symposium. "Your insights have given us a deeper understanding of human capabilities and intentions. We must continue to engage with them as partners, learning from each other and supporting our mutual interests. The galaxy is watching, Sergeant. What we establish here will set a precedent for interstellar diplomacy." With the General's words echoing in his mind, Click returned to his work, more determined than ever. The symposium was not just a meeting, it was a chance to influence the future direction of interstellar relations. His dedication was not just to his own world, but to the potential for peace and progress across the stars. As he finalized his preparations, Click reflected on the journey that had brought him here, from his first steps on Earth, overwhelmed and cautious, to his current role as a pivotal figure in crafting a new chapter of galactic history. The weight of this responsibility was immense, but so was the opportunity to make a lasting difference. As the final preparations for the Interstellar Symposium were being completed, Sergeant Click Ike felt a mix of anticipation and nervousness. The event, poised to begin tomorrow on Rovia, was the culmination of months of hard work and diplomacy. Tonight, the Rovian capital gleamed with lights and banners, welcoming delegates from Earth with open arms and a promise of a new era of collaboration. The symposium venue, a grand auditorium in the heart of the capital, had been transformed into a hub of interstellar diplomacy. The hall was adorned with symbols of unity, flags of both Earth and Rovia, alongside artistic representations of other member planets within the Galactic Council, symbolizing the broader implications of this gathering. Click oversaw the final security walkthrough with both Rovian and human security teams. His detailed knowledge of human protocols, gained during his time on Earth, proved invaluable in ensuring that all measures were respectful yet effective. The atmosphere was charged with a professional tension, as everyone understood the importance of the event and their role in its success. Later that evening, a reception was held for all delegates, a casual precursor to the formal discussions that would start the next day. Click, dressed in his ceremonial Rovian uniform, mingled among the guests, facilitating introductions and helping to ease the natural tensions that came with such a historic meeting. Colonel HFY Gaines, leading the human delegation, arrived with a team of diplomats, scientists, and military officers. His presence was a comforting sight for Click, who had developed a deep respect for the colonel during his time on Earth. Gaines was equally pleased to see how well Click had adapted to his role as a liaison and host. As they shared a light moment, Gaines whispered to Click, "You know, I never doubted you'd pull this off, but seeing it all come together is something else. You're making history here, my friend." Click smiled, appreciating the encouragement. "We do it together, Javari. It's about our people, our planets, and our future." Throughout the reception, Click noticed the curiosity and openness among the delegates. Conversations flowed around Rovian art exhibits and human technological displays set up around the venue, each serving as an icebreaker and a learning opportunity. This mingling was exactly what Click had hoped for, a chance for each side to appreciate the other's culture and expertise. As the evening progressed, Click introduced a panel of Rovian and human cultural historians who gave brief talks on the significance of interstellar cooperation. The speeches were insightful, reinforcing the symposium's theme of building a shared future through understanding and respect. After the panel, Click stepped outside onto a balcony overlooking the city. The night was clear, the stars shining with a brilliance that seemed to underscore the significance of the moment. He reflected on his journey, from his initial skepticism and caution to a newfound belief in the possibilities of peace and collaboration. Tomorrow, the symposium would begin in earnest, and the discussions would likely be complex and challenging. Yet tonight, Click felt a serene confidence. The groundwork laid by months of preparation, the evident goodwill among the delegates, and the mutual curiosity about each other's worlds all pointed towards a successful outcome. Turning back to rejoin the reception, Click felt a sense of pride in his role and a hopeful anticipation about the future. The symposium was not just an endpoint, but a beginning. The first step in what he hoped would be a long and fruitful path of interstellar diplomacy and shared progress. As he mingled among the guests, sharing stories and laughter, Click knew that regardless of the challenges ahead, they had already achieved something remarkable, turning former strangers into potential partners and allies in the vast, shared expanse of the galaxy. The dawn of the symposium day brought a crisp, energizing air over Rovia's capital. The city was abuzz with activity as delegates from Earth and local dignitaries made their way to the grand auditorium. Sergeant Click Ike arrived early, reviewing every detail of the day's agenda and ensuring that the venue was perfectly set up for the day's events. As the delegates gathered in the main hall, the atmosphere was a blend of excitement and solemnity. Today's sessions were scheduled to cover crucial topics such as joint security initiatives, scientific collaborations, and the establishment of a permanent interstellar communication channel between Earth and Rovia. The symposium was officially opened by the Rovian Prime Minister, who delivered a welcoming speech emphasizing the importance of this historic gathering. "Today, we stand at a threshold of a new era," he declared, his voice resonant in the packed hall. "An era where cooperation and understanding transcend old boundaries and create new possibilities for peace and progress." Following the Prime Minister, Colonel Javari Gaines took the stage, representing Earth. His speech was equally inspiring, focusing on the shared destiny of both worlds in the vast tapestry of the galaxy. "Our partnership," he stated, "is not merely about mutual benefits, but about building a foundation for a collective future, safeguarding our communities and fostering a galaxy where all can thrive." The morning session then moved into detailed discussions on security. Topics ranged from joint training exercises to the sharing of intelligence in a way that respected each world's sovereignty while enhancing mutual security. Click participated actively, sharing insights from his military experience and the observations he had made during his time on Earth. Lunch was an affair that mixed formal dining with informal networking, providing a relaxed environment for delegates to discuss ideas outside the formal agenda. Click used this opportunity to engage with human delegates, discussing potential security technologies that Rovia could benefit from, while also explaining Rovian tactical doctrines that might interest human military strategists. In the afternoon, the focus shifted to scientific and technological collaborations. Panels of experts from both worlds presented ongoing projects and proposed new joint ventures. Discussions delved into advanced propulsion technologies, life support systems for extended space travel, and the development of resilient agricultural systems for colonized worlds. Click was particularly interested in a session about environmental sustainability, a field where Rovia had considerable experience that could be highly beneficial to human colonies on other planets. He took detailed notes, already thinking about how to integrate these discussions into his reports and future strategy sessions. The day concluded with a panel on cultural exchange, which proved to be a highlight. Representatives from various artistic and academic fields discussed how culture could bridge gaps between different species. Human and Rovian artists talked about collaborative projects that blended elements from both worlds, creating new forms of music, art, and literature. As the first day of the symposium wrapped up, Click felt a profound sense of achievement and optimism. The discussions had not only met, but exceeded expectations, with tangible plans for future cooperation outlined and initial agreements drafted. That evening, as he debriefed with Gaines and other key members of the delegation, Click couldn't help but feel that they were part of something truly groundbreaking. "We're not just making plans, we're building the framework for a lasting alliance," he reflected. Gaines agreed, his eyes reflecting a similar sense of satisfaction and hope. "This is only the beginning, Click. What we've started here will grow, influencing not just our own futures, but potentially setting a precedent for how other civilizations interact." As the group parted ways for the night, Click looked up at the stars, feeling more connected to them than ever. Tomorrow would bring another day of discussions, challenges, and opportunities, but for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet pride in the progress they had made. The path forward was clear, and he was ready to continue walking it alongside his new human allies. The second day of the symposium dawned with a renewed sense of purpose among the attendees. Sergeant Click Ike, having spent a fruitful first day immersed in discussions that bridged gaps between Earth and Rovia, was eager to delve into more specific and perhaps contentious topics that were crucial for real, actionable agreements. The day began with a session on trade and economic partnerships, a vital component of the broader strategic alliance being forged. The hall was filled with economic experts, trade delegates, and policymakers from both planets. The discussion focused on establishing a framework for trade that would be beneficial yet fair, taking into account the different economic structures and needs of both worlds. Click listened intently as delegates debated tariffs, trade routes, and the exchange of natural resources and technology. The Rovian economy, heavily reliant on mining and the export of rare minerals, offered unique products for Earth's technology sectors, while Earth could provide advanced agricultural and renewable energy technologies that were of great interest to Rovia. A significant breakthrough came when a proposal for a joint economic committee was put forward, aiming to oversee and facilitate trade agreements and resolve disputes. Click noted the careful diplomacy at play, as each side sought to ensure their interests were safeguarded while promoting mutual economic growth. Following the economic session, the agenda moved on to a more sensitive topic: military cooperation. This involved delicate negotiations over joint command structures, shared intelligence, and the potential establishment of interstellar bases. The military session was charged with a tense energy, as the implications of such cooperation were vast, impacting the strategic balance in their respective sectors of the galaxy. Click, drawing upon his military background, played a crucial role in these discussions. He advocated for transparency and mutual respect in military endeavors, emphasizing that the alliance should be seen as a peacekeeping force rather than a military expansion. His arguments were persuasive, helping to calm fears and foster a spirit of collaboration among the delegates. Lunch provided a much-needed break from the morning's intense discussions. Click joined a group of young diplomats and military officers from both worlds, sharing experiences and insights. These informal interactions were invaluable, building personal connections that bridged official proceedings. The afternoon was dedicated to environmental and health initiatives. One of the standout moments was when a joint initiative was unveiled, aiming to tackle galactic environmental challenges. This initiative would not only address planetary ecosystems, but also broader cosmic environmental issues like asteroid impacts and space debris. The health session later delved into the sharing of medical knowledge, with an emphasis on combating diseases that could spread through interstellar travel. Click was particularly impressed by the proposal for a shared biosecurity database, which would serve as an early warning system for potential outbreaks, benefiting all planets involved in the alliance. As the day concluded, Click felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. The groundwork laid during these sessions had the potential to reshape not only relations between Earth and Rovia, but also set a precedent for how human and alien civilizations could cooperate. That evening, a formal dinner was held, where delegates celebrated the progress made. Speeches were given, highlighting the spirit of unity and the tangible outcomes of the symposium. Click, taking the stage, spoke of the bravery and vision required to embark on this new path together. The agreements we're forging, Click stated, are more than just words on paper. They are a commitment to a shared future, one where we face challenges together and harness opportunities for the benefit of all our people. As the applause echoed through the room, Click felt a deep satisfaction. The symposium was drawing to a close, but the journey of collaboration it heralded was just beginning. The challenges ahead were daunting, but with the foundations laid over the past 2 days, Click was confident that the path forward was one of hope and mutual prosperity. As the final day of the symposium dawned, Sergeant Click Ike prepared for the concluding sessions with a reflective mindset. The past days had been a whirlwind of discussions, debates, and decisions that had stretched the limits of diplomacy and showcased the potential for a robust partnership between Earth and Rovia. Today, the delegates would focus on solidifying the agreements reached and planning the steps forward. The morning session was dedicated to finalizing the resolutions from the various discussions held over the previous days. Legal teams from both worlds were busy drafting the formal documents that would encapsulate the commitments made during the symposium. Click, involved in the security and military cooperation agreements, reviewed each clause carefully, ensuring that the terms were clear and equitable, reflecting the spirit of mutual respect and cooperation that had characterized the discussions. As the delegates convened in the main hall, there was a palpable sense of accomplishment mixed with the gravity of formalizing these agreements. One by one, representatives from both Earth and Rovia took to the podium to present the resolutions in their respective areas: trade, military cooperation, scientific collaboration, cultural exchanges, and environmental initiatives. After each presentation, the floor was open for final remarks and clarifications. Click took this opportunity to emphasize the importance of ongoing communication and transparency in implementing the agreements. "These documents are just the beginning," he noted. "Their success lies in our continued commitment and dialogue. We must be vigilant and proactive in addressing any challenges that arise." The afternoon was dedicated to a closing ceremony that was both solemn and celebratory. The final documents were signed amid applause and handshakes, symbolizing the formal commitment of both planets to the agreements. The Rovian Prime Minister and Earth's leading diplomat jointly declared the symposium a success, expressing hope and confidence in the future of their interstellar relationship. "This symposium has been a historic milestone," the Prime Minister stated. "It represents not just the unity between Earth and Rovia, but also a model for future interstellar diplomacy. We have laid down the groundwork for a partnership that will thrive on mutual respect, cooperation, and shared prosperity." The closing remarks were followed by a cultural showcase featuring performances from both Rovian and human artists. The blend of music, dance, and art from both worlds was a fitting end to the symposium, underscoring the cultural respect and appreciation that had grown over the days of collaboration. As the delegates mingled during the closing banquet, Click felt a deep sense of pride and optimism. Conversations flowed around him, filled with plans for future meetings, joint projects, and exchanges. The relationships formed during the symposium promised to extend beyond formal agreements, fostering a sense of community and friendship between the two civilizations. Later that evening, as Click looked out over the city from his quarters, he reflected on the journey that had brought him to this point. From his initial mission to Earth, filled with skepticism and caution, to his role as a key figure in forging a groundbreaking alliance, his perspective had broadened immensely. The challenges ahead were still daunting, but he now saw them as opportunities for growth and learning. The symposium had not only bridged two worlds, but had also transformed Click himself. He had seen firsthand the power of dialogue and cooperation, and was determined to continue advocating for these principles, both within the Rovian military and in the broader interstellar community. As the stars twinkled above, Click felt connected to something larger than himself. A vast, intricate network of lives and worlds, all moving forward together. With the agreement signed and the partnership sealed, he knew the real work was just beginning. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction, ready for whatever challenges and adventures lay ahead. In the days following the symposium, the spirit of collaboration and camaraderie between Earth and Rovia continued to flourish. Sergeant Click Ike found himself at the center of ongoing discussions and initiatives aimed at implementing the agreements reached during the historic event. The momentum generated by the symposium seemed to propel both worlds forward into a new era of cooperation and mutual understanding. One of the first tasks on the agenda was the establishment of joint task forces to oversee various aspects of the agreements. Click was appointed as a liaison officer for the Military Cooperation Task Force, a role that suited his experience and diplomatic skills. Working closely with human counterparts, he helped develop protocols for information sharing, joint training exercises, and coordinated response to potential threats. At the same time, Click remained deeply involved in efforts to promote cultural exchange between Earth and Rovia. He facilitated visits by human artists and scholars to Rovian cities, and reciprocally arranged for Rovian cultural ambassadors to visit Earth. These exchanges helped foster a deeper appreciation for each other's traditions and fostered bonds of friendship that transcended mere diplomacy. On the economic front, negotiations continued to refine trade agreements and explore new avenues for cooperation. Click worked closely with trade delegations from both worlds, leveraging his knowledge of Rovian resources and Earth's technological expertise to identify mutually beneficial trade opportunities. The goal was not just to boost economic growth, but also to promote stability and prosperity on both planets. Meanwhile, scientific collaborations flourished as researchers from Earth and Rovia pooled their expertise to tackle some of the galaxy's most pressing challenges. Projects ranging from space exploration to medical research benefited from the combined resources and knowledge of both civilizations. Click was particularly proud of the progress made in environmental initiatives, where joint efforts were underway to address climate change and protect vulnerable ecosystems. As the months passed, the fruits of this collaboration became increasingly evident. Trade between Earth and Rovia flourished, cultural exchanges enriched the lives of citizens on both planets, and scientific breakthroughs pushed the boundaries of knowledge. The symposium had been a catalyst for change, igniting a spirit of cooperation that transcended borders and united two worlds in a shared quest for progress. For Click, the journey from skeptic to advocate had been transformative. He had witnessed firsthand the power of dialogue and cooperation in overcoming differences and building bridges between civilizations. As he looked to the future, he saw endless possibilities for further collaboration and growth, both for Earth and Rovia, and for the broader galactic community. As he sat in his office reviewing reports and preparing for the day's meetings, Click couldn't help but smile. The symposium had been just the beginning, a spark that had ignited a flame of friendship and partnership between Earth and Rovia. And as that flame continued to burn brightly, illuminating the path forward, Click knew that the best was yet to come. Despite the progress made since the symposium, Sergeant Click Ike soon found himself facing unforeseen challenges that tested the resilience of the newfound alliance between Earth and Rovia. The first sign of trouble came from a distant corner of the galaxy, a border dispute between two neighboring systems that threatened to escalate into open conflict. Both Earth and Rovia had economic interests in the region, and the potential for armed conflict posed a direct threat to their stability and security. Click was tasked with representing Rovia on a diplomatic mission to mediate the dispute. Accompanied by a team of diplomats and military advisors, he traveled to the troubled region, hoping to find a peaceful resolution to the escalating tensions. The negotiations proved to be more challenging than anticipated. Deep-seated grievances and mistrust between the two factions made it difficult to find common ground. Click found himself navigating a delicate balancing act, trying to uphold Rovian interests while also promoting a peaceful outcome that would benefit both parties. As the talks dragged on, Click faced mounting pressure from hardliners on both sides who favored a military solution to the dispute. He knew that failure to reach a diplomatic agreement could have dire consequences, not just for the two warring factions, but for the stability of the entire region. Despite the odds, Click remained steadfast in his commitment to finding a peaceful solution. Drawing upon the lessons learned during the symposium, he employed a combination of diplomacy, empathy, and creative problem-solving to bridge the gap between the two sides. After weeks of intense negotiations, a breakthrough finally occurred. Click helped broker a ceasefire agreement that temporarily halted hostilities and opened the door for further talks aimed at resolving the underlying issues. The success of the diplomatic mission was a testament to Click's skill and determination, as well as the enduring strength of the alliance between Earth and Rovia. Yet it also served as a sobering reminder of the challenges that lay ahead and the need for constant vigilance and cooperation in the face of adversity. As Click returned to Rovia, weary but hopeful, he knew that the work of building a lasting peace was far from over. The symposium had laid the foundation for a brighter future, but it would take continued effort and commitment to navigate the complexities of interstellar diplomacy and forge a path towards lasting stability and prosperity. And for Click, that was a challenge he was ready to face head-on, knowing that the bonds of friendship and cooperation between Earth and Rovia were stronger than any obstacle they might encounter. In the aftermath of the diplomatic mission, Sergeant Click Ike returned to Rovia with a renewed sense of purpose. The successful resolution of the border dispute had reinforced his belief in the power of diplomacy and cooperation to overcome even the most entrenched conflicts. As he resumed his duties, Click was determined to further strengthen the bonds between Earth and Rovia, ensuring that their alliance continued to thrive in the face of future challenges. One of Click's priorities was to enhance military cooperation between the two worlds. Drawing upon the lessons learned during the symposium, he worked closely with his counterparts on Earth to establish joint training exercises and intelligence-sharing mechanisms. These initiatives not only bolstered their collective security, but also fostered trust and camaraderie among military personnel from both planets. At the same time, Click continued to promote cultural exchange and understanding. He organized a series of cultural festivals and exhibitions that showcased the rich diversity of both Earth and Rovia. These events not only celebrated their shared heritage, but also provided opportunities for citizens from both worlds to interact and learn from one another. Another area of focus for Click was environmental sustainability. Recognizing the importance of preserving their planets for future generations, he spearheaded joint initiatives to address climate change, protect endangered species, and promote renewable energy. By combining their resources and expertise, Earth and Rovia were able to make significant strides in safeguarding their natural environments. In the scientific realm, Click facilitated collaborations between researchers from both planets, leading to groundbreaking discoveries in fields such as space exploration, medicine, and agriculture. These joint efforts not only advanced scientific knowledge, but also laid the groundwork for future technological innovations that would benefit both civilizations. As Click worked tirelessly to strengthen the alliance between Earth and Rovia, he encountered challenges along the way. There were disagreements and misunderstandings, moments of tension and frustration. But through it all, Click remained steadfast in his commitment to building a future based on cooperation, understanding, and mutual respect. And as he looked to the horizon, Click saw a galaxy filled with endless possibilities, a future where Earth and Rovia stood side by side, united in their pursuit of peace, progress, and prosperity. It was a future worth fighting for, and Click knew that with determination, resilience, and a shared vision, they would overcome any obstacle in their path. In the continuing saga of interstellar diplomacy, Sergeant Click Ike found himself facing a new set of challenges that tested the trust and resilience of the alliance between Earth and Rovia. Rumors began to circulate of a shadowy organization operating in the outer reaches of the galaxy, engaging in illegal arms trafficking and destabilizing the fragile peace that had been established. Intelligence reports suggested that members of this organization had ties to both Earth and Rovia, raising suspicions and casting a shadow of doubt over the alliance. Click was tasked with leading a joint investigation into these allegations, working alongside human and Rovian intelligence agents to uncover the truth. The mission was fraught with danger as they delved into the murky underworld of smuggling and corruption, where loyalties were uncertain and betrayal lurked around every corner. As they pursued leads and gathered evidence, Click encountered resistance from within his own ranks. Some Rovian officers questioned the wisdom of cooperating with Earth, fearing that their alliance was putting Rovia at risk. Click understood their concerns, but remained steadfast in his belief that cooperation was the key to overcoming their common enemies. Meanwhile, tensions between Earth and Rovia began to simmer as suspicions mounted and accusations flew. Trust, once the foundation of their alliance, now seemed fragile and uncertain. Click knew that if they were to unravel the conspiracy and restore trust between their worlds, they would need to set aside their differences and work together as allies once more. Through perseverance and determination, Click and his team slowly pieced together the puzzle, uncovering a web of deceit that stretched across the galaxy. They discovered that the shadowy organization was indeed real, and its members were exploiting the alliance between Earth and Rovia for their own nefarious purposes. With the evidence in hand, Click presented their findings to the leaders of both worlds, urging them to set aside their differences and unite against their common enemy. It was a tense moment as the fate of their alliance hung in the balance. In the end, cooler heads prevailed, and Earth and Rovia agreed to stand together against the threat posed by the shadowy organization. They pledged to work together to root out corruption and strengthen their alliance, reaffirming their commitment to peace and cooperation in the face of adversity. As Click reflected on the ordeal, he knew that trust was not something to be taken for granted. It had to be earned, time and time again. And as long as he and his allies remained vigilant and true to their principles, he was confident that their alliance would endure, standing as a beacon of hope in a galaxy filled with uncertainty. With the threat of the shadowy organization thwarted and trust between Earth and Rovia reaffirmed, Sergeant Click Ike found himself reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this moment. The trials they had faced had tested their resolve, but ultimately, they had emerged stronger, bound together by a shared commitment to peace and cooperation. As Click looked out over the bustling streets of Rovia's capital, he felt a sense of pride in what they had accomplished. The alliance between Earth and Rovia had weathered the storm, proving that even in the face of adversity, unity and trust could prevail. But Click knew that their work was far from over. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, filled with challenges and opportunities that would require their continued cooperation and vigilance. As he thought about the future, Click felt a renewed sense of determination to build upon the foundation they had laid and forge an even stronger alliance between their worlds. One of Click's priorities was to further deepen the bonds of brotherhood between Earth and Rovia. He organized joint training exercises for their military forces, fostering camaraderie and teamwork among soldiers from both planets. These exercises not only improved their combat readiness, but also strengthened the personal connections between them, laying the groundwork for even closer cooperation in the future. Click also focused on expanding cultural exchanges between Earth and Rovia, organizing more festivals and events that celebrated their shared heritage. Artists, musicians, and scholars from both worlds came together to share their talents and traditions, fostering a greater appreciation for each other's cultures and fostering lasting friendships. In the scientific realm, Click worked to promote joint research projects that tackled some of the galaxy's most pressing challenges. From space exploration to medical advancements, Earth and Rovia pooled their resources and expertise to push the boundaries of knowledge and innovation. Together, they were unlocking the secrets of the universe and paving the way for a brighter future for all. As Click continued to work tirelessly to strengthen the alliance between Earth and Rovia, he knew that their journey was just beginning. There would be obstacles and setbacks along the way, But as long as they remained united in their goals and steadfast in their commitment to each other, he was confident that they would overcome any challenge that came their way. And as he looked to the horizon, Click saw a galaxy filled with promise and possibility. A future where Earth and Rovia stood together as brothers, united in their quest for peace, prosperity, and progress. It was a future worth fighting for, and Click was proud to be a part of it. Together, they would shape the destiny of the galaxy and build a legacy that would endure for generations to come.